Hey everyone, today I'm gonna release a second video about my Vim setup. The reason I'm doing this is because I got rid of every plugin. I'm not using any of the plugins in there. I'm just using vanilla Vim, and I replaced most of the functionality I have been using with plugins before, but now I just use the vanilla Vim. Let's go over the config. Alright, so this is the usual stuff. We map the leader key to space and the local leader to space as well. Here we use the system clipboard so that when I copy this I can use it across the system, not only within the Vim session. This just adds the visual indentation. When we have the line wrapping, hit the undo file on, we ignore case because I like doing my search lowercase most of the time, but when I want, so I can search for, I can do case sensitive search as well, because smart case is on, and the way it works, if you just type something here, for example, Vim. So this is case insensitive. For example, I can search for normal, and you can see on line 14 here, we found normal that starts from capital key. But as soon as you start typing capital letters, this will become case sensitive. For example, yank. So we can look for this. So this is case sensitive. And if I do yank highlight, this is not found because this has to be capital letter as well. I find pretty useful. Alright, so where are we? Auto read, we just reload the buffer as soon as the file is changed outside of the Vim session. However, if you delete the file, the buffer will still be there, and you will not lose your buffer if you just delete the file outside. The timeout length is smaller than the default, and basically when you run a sequence of command, Vim waits for this time to consider the command melody instead of just doing them one by one. By default is 1000, but it feels a bit snappy, and I think this comes from the original kickstart.nvim config. Then this is the when you do something like find file, so this is case insensitive as well. Just like the search being not case sensitive. I remove some clutter from netrv. If I open the file manager, you can see that there is nothing on top. There are, yeah, it just looks a bit less destructive. I append the ** to my path in Vim so that when I do search, I search recursively in all the directories, and these are the directories I ignore when I do search. For example, when I do find, and we can do something like, I don't know, custom. It found the file, I can open it, but these directories will be ignored because usually I don't want to find anything within my virtual environment, Git directory or anything. It just pollutes the results of the search. I do not use syntax highlighting. It's actually very hard to turn it off completely, and you need to do something with street seater because by default, when I open Lua, so you can see that there are colors here. When I open Lua, the street seater is started, and you have to explicitly stop it. And there are some edge cases where, like, you still get the colors. But basically, I do syntax of. I still set up the color scheme to get the status line color and this kind of stuff, and I set up the font to be this color. And you can see this looks like this. So I usually code without syntax highlighting, and I find to be easier to focus in this setting. Probably the main problem with this, if you use block comments, it's unclear whether you're inside of the block comment or not, but I am not a huge fan of block comments. That's why usually I do not have any troubles with it, and I just find it great. For the first couple of days you stare at your screen and like it feels a bit weird, but you get used to it, and I'm very happy with it. Alright, then these commands come from Kickstart and Vim. Basically, the only thing it does when you yank something, it just highlights. For example, if you select a line, or we select a couple of lines, so it's just visually easier to see what actually happened. Because sometimes, I don't know, you do a type and it's unclear whether you copied something or not, and it just makes it so much nicer. Okay, then I will go through a couple of functions I have, and finally we will end up with the bindings. This is basically the replacement for custom replacement for Vim Sloth plugin, which basically does automatic indentation settings based on the open file. So, for example, you can open a file and have shift width to be 2 or tab stop to be 2, and then another file can be a different one. And this is just what is happening here. We go over the hundreds of lines. We search that there is some indentation from the left. We check that this is not an empty line, and if it's a tab, we increase the tab count. Otherwise, we increase the space count, and we find the minimum indentation in the number of spaces. This is super simple. You don't need any plugins for this, and I haven't had any problems with this. Maybe, I don't know, in big projects with I don't know, 25 different style guides, this can be a problem. Or within a file with different indentations, like, I don't know, if you have a markdown file with Python code in it, and there are different indentations within the document. I personally don't care. I will use this. Then the next thing is a function that takes a scratch buffer. The scratch buffer is the buffer that gets killed after you close it, and I turn it into a quick fix list. I will show you later how I use it, but quick fix list is basically, it looks like this. Let's go here. We can do some search, and we say we use the report. So this is the results of the search, and this is the quick fix list. You can go over it, and this is how I navigate within code. I replaced Telescope with basically this setup. Quick fix lists are supported in neovim and even vanilla Vim, and I really like them. Okay, I will explain it a bit later, but basically there are 3 different situations which I look at here. This is how I parse grep results. This is how I parse a grep result for the current buffer, and this is the find. So basically I replaced all the Telescope with find and grep, the 2 commands which are available everywhere. You don't need anything else, and it just works. This thing just runs a command externally, like in the system. I will show later why I use this, and it puts the results to the scratch buffer and maybe to the quick fix if you request for it. This is the function to do file search. I have two different situations. First is when netrv, when the file manager is open, basically. I want to only search in the current directory. I will explain why I need that in a bit. Or otherwise just search in the current directory where you open Vim, and some of the directories you ignore, and in addition you might ignore more when you search in the current directory. Because usually when I do grep, I search here, and in some of the situations when I search for the documentation, it's like I use it for go-to definition. I will explain later, because I do not use any LSPs. I need some replacement for this, and I think it works very, very well for me. Similar, but instead of find, we do text search, which is just grep. I tried playing with rip grep, but I actually using just grep, because I find it's you don't have to install anything. You just use on any computer. You get this config, and it just works. Right, these are all of the functions. I replaced all the plugins I used before. Telescope. What else did I use? I already forget what kind of plugins I use. All the LSPs. I do not use LSPs for coding. I do not use any autocomplete. Sometimes I use tab complete just to do the name completion, but this is all I use. And I replace everything with this, 5 functions. Yeah, these are all the utilities I use, and let's go over the settings. So sometimes I find it easier to just press JJ instead of escape when I in the edit mode. For example, we're here, and instead of escape I just do JJ. I find it easier on my keyboard to use. Now the next one is similar to JJ, but it's just how I save files. Instead of pressing colon W enter, I just do semicolon twice, and it's also very fast. Then this is just to close the buffer. Sometimes I open something in a window. I paste some I don't know, the output of a log into some vim buffer, and when I close it, it asks me to confirm, hey, you've changed the file, do you want to save it before you quit? And I just hate this. I don't like typing comma colon Q and the exclamation mark and then enter. I just do leader Q and I close the buffer like this. Alright, this is how I close the buffer. Again, just I find it takes a bit longer for me to press column and command enter than just do leader something. Like leader D closes the buffer, so we can close the buffer. Right. Then I use the find command. So this is a replacement for telescope search in files. One of those, if I know the, I don't know, the name of a file I want to use, I usually do something like find. Let's go here. Let's open the blog.py. So I press space F and then I do blog, and then I do maybe tab, and this is all you have, and I just open it. So we can also try to do something like blog, and then we do this, but it won't work because there are two file names with this. But what we can do, we can say blog.py, and this will open the blog. Okay, we have it closed, open. Let's do blog.py. It should open blog.py. Yeah, because there is only one option for the find command to choose from. It doesn't ask which one do you want, and sometimes it's just faster. Alright, then when I press leader space, I can look in the open buffer. Again, before I had space to open the telescope fuzzy find in buffers, but you can actually do without this. Let's open something else. I don't know, let's open up.py, and let's also open let's see, base.py, and now we have these buffers opened. So if you press space, so we can either go over those. These are the open buffers, or we can actually do something like space base. So the B command is very smart. It does the pattern matching, so you can actually, if there is only one file with base, you can open it. I can also do something like block, and this will open it. Or we can actually scroll like bn. Space n is to go to the next buffer. It's like bn command, and bp go to the previous buffer. I think it's, yeah, there, the two commands here. Okay, look at those. Now the quick fix list. I already showed you the quick fix list, but let's look at this again. So let's say we want to find something in the current buffer. Let's find all the functions in this file. So we can do something like def. Let's find all the definitions, all the classes in this file. All right, and this opens a scratch buffer, which is really nice because sometimes, for example, I don't know, I open something, some big file. Let's actually open a big file. Let's go to the Megatron repository. and open the file. Let's go to training.py. Okay, training.py, and now we want to do the same. We want to find all the functions in this buffer. We do def. Let's actually do this thing. Will it work? I don't know if it works. Yeah, it finds all the functions which are not nested functions. So they all start, there is no indentation, there is only the beginning of line. And now this is my Scratch buffer. And some of the functions if I start a new code base, for example, I want to look into the structure, so I get all the functions here. But some of the functions, I don't care about them. I care about, I don't know. Probably I don't want to look into these functions. It's like it's obvious what it does, probably. Or some of the util functions I don't care about. I remove something I don't care about. I leave some of the functions. Maybe you can do some notes here as well. It's like just any buffer. And then what I do is I do space, should be space X. Yeah, leader X. And now we have all these results of the search at the bottom of the screen. Why it's great? It's persistent, and you can go over this with the control, let's say N. Just go to the next, and it has information about the line number. So anything I search uses the information about line number, and we can just go over this. It's like basically telescope. You can also press Ctrl P, Ctrl N in there, and instead of just using telescope, use quick fix list. Okay. And you can also do some cool stuff with this, actually. I will explain it in a bit. Right, yeah, so this goes to the next item in the quick fix list, the previous one, and this glow this is. So if we space Ctrl Q, so we close it. Yeah, the buffers change we did. So this opens netter.w. Like if I want to have a look, for example. Sometimes I go to, let's say, a new library, and I want to get the structure. I want to understand like what it consists of. For example, I will show you later a command which goes to all the libraries in my current Python interpreter. So we can do space G, space GP. These are all the libraries. Let's go to NumPy, for example. And imagine you are new to the library, and instead of, you don't know what you're looking for. You just want to see what's in there. For example, there is linear algebra. You can see here, and you can. This is how I use netter.w. I really just use it to open any of the files. So usually I know the name of the file I want to open. This is when I study something. Okay, and then you can also select something. Let's say linalg. We can say, hey, let's open. Let's have a look. Right. So what's in there? So we had a look at this. Yeah, this by default I try to use as less clutter as possible. So I don't use line numbers by default. When I need them, sometimes I just do this. It's very quick. I found it, you don't need line numbers. Usually I don't use line numbers. I go to a particular line. For example, if I get some results from the, I don't know, from the compiler, from the interpreter, when I get the error is on the line 119, I don't need to know which line I'm on to go on line 119. I can just say, hey, let's go to any line. Let's go to line 42. We just do this 42, and then we're on that line. Okay. Oops. Okay, where we are? Yeah, explore, set numbers, and browse old files. Okay, sometimes the telescope had a file search in the list of old files. I find it sometimes easy. But I think the only reason I want to browse old files is like if I forgot what was the I don't know, recent file I used, which is probably outside of this repo, and it's easy. You don't have to, I don't know, go beyond above in netrw to search for this file. So you just do spaces so, and you have it. And then you can select a number and pick it. Then this is to move the scratch buffer to the quick fix. I showed you the function already, but the way I use it is sometimes when we have some search results, I do not put stuff from the current file to quick fix automatically, because I sometimes look at the structure. Maybe I want to remove something from here, add some notes and this kind of stuff. And when this is done, so I press space X and we're in the quick fix list. This is very handy. I like it a lot. And this basically, one of the reasons I like this is I like it even more than Telescope, because I want to do this. So I want to have access to this as a buffer. I don't want to directly use it as a quick fix list. Sometimes I use it, but sometimes I just like it like this. Right, then I have been using Fugitive before. I think this is the best plugin. But I found out that I can do 95% of Fugitive with the just CLI from Git, and it feels much faster. Some reason, I don't know, in a big repo, you run Fugitive git log, and it might take tens of seconds to open the whole history. This is very slow. Git log is very fast. So if I do, for example, let's go to here, let's close the quick fix list, and we can do git log gl, so I can have a look. Okay, or we can do Ctrl Z, and we can do git log as well, very fast. Okay. Well, if we change something, okay, let's say like this. Makes no sense, but let's have a look. We can do git diff space gd, and we get all the changes here. So what we can also do, git log, git diff, git blame. We can have a look at git blame. Let's say, okay, everything here is written by me probably. We can do like here in Megatron, space GB, and we can see, can actually close this, and so that it's really nice. And then we have another function which is git show. For example, when we have a cursor on some of the commits, I can see what was in this commit. I can say, hey, I think is it GS? Yeah, it's GS. Space GS, and we basically get the commit, and it's very fast. It's much faster than Fugitive. And literally, it's so simple to implement. You can see it here. So it's just a git blame, current buffer, and the external command is just here. So we either use system list or system, which takes a string or the whole thing, and that's it. And we put it to the scratch buffer. Probably you can also put it to the quick fix list, but I haven't used this. I don't know. I didn't find it useful. Okay, the next block is very important. As I said, so I listened to this interview with Ginger Bill. He said that he's not using LSPs, and I actually decided to give it a shot, and I liked it so much, and I think now I remember the code base much better, have a better awareness of the code I am working in. I can code in a plane without the internet much easier right now. So I think I've been coding without LSPs for about a month. But the main thing I'm missing, or maybe I don't miss it now, is go to definition. It's very handy to just, instead of searching in documentation, you just go to the definition and you look at the code, what it's doing, you look at the doc strings and this kind of stuff. Okay, I had to replicate it for myself. I have two commands, gp and gr. So basically, when you are in the repo and you want to see, go to definition of the function, within the repo it's easy, you just grab. You grab and go there. So for me it will be, let's say let's go to Megatron because it's a bit, or let's just do the build the blocks. Okay, let's close the buffer. Let's say there is a function add block. I do SG, which means use grep. It's like telescope but not interactive. And I say, hey, let's have a look at the definition of the add block. Here you go. You go to the definition of this function. So it's probably not as interactive as with fuzzy search, but I found using fuzzy search is just I like typing and see how the stuff changes, but it actually distracts me. I just use this. I like static interfaces, and this is just, I find it easier for me. And of course you don't have to install any plugins for this, and you can just work with vanilla Vim. Another thing which is great, if you don't have any plugins, you don't have to install the plugin manager in your config. It's just extremely simple, and you don't depend on the other code. You reduce their attack surface if you're afraid of some malicious code coming with the plugins and this kind of stuff. Maybe for some of the companies this will matter a lot as well. Alright, so we found this. Yeah, okay. So we can navigate with grep and find within the repository, but sometimes some of the libraries, they are not in the repository. So when you search, they're not in the current directory. They might be in the venv directory, which might be a part of the current directory, but sometimes it's not. And I have two functions, go gp and gr, go Python, go Rust, because I mostly write Python and Rust code. If I will use some other thing, I will just add another command. But this command goes to the libraries in the current venv. So probably for the reports, let's add Control Z and source UG. By the way, if you don't use these commands, this is very nice. Sometimes if you want to have access to the terminal without opening any other windows, you can press Ctrl Z. So you suspend Vim and you can do gdiff, for example, or anything. You can commit, and then when you press FG, you get back to the same place you've been in Vim. Okay. Okay. So now what do we do? I will show you how to go to the Python directory. So I do space gp, and now we can see all the libraries installed in this environment. For example, if I want to search something, let's say in NumPy, I open NumPy, and this is why I need to search within a directory. So we saw if netrw is open, all the search commands are relative to this directory. Because when I run search, I don't care about the current directory open in neovim. I just want to search in the current open directory. Let's say if you want to find a file, I don't know, let's search for Linaug. So we have it in our quick fix buffer. We can go there, we can have a look. Oh, we can also say, I don't know, we can search in, we can grep. Will this find Chulesky? Give this some text. Okay. Yeah, okay, so we have some function and we can have a look. So this is kind of like go to definition. It's a bit more pain to actually go to definition. It's not just one control, what is def or gd like I used before. But I actually found this to be very beneficial for me, because when I'm looking for something, I learn the code base more. I'm becoming aware of what is going on, what modules are there, what is around, and I every search I get more information than just find the signature. And I just found it very useful for me, and I think I'm becoming a better programmer when I do it this way. Okay, the same for Rust. It just goes to the cargo directory. We can search like for this stuff in Rust. We don't have many commands left, but basically this command is doing grep. What is it? SS is doing grep command in the current buffer. For example, Let's do block. Okay. Let's actually go to the mega report. Okay, so and we can see that we are using add block. A cool thing about quick fix list I haven't mentioned is you say, okay, hey, how do you do refactoring if you don't use LSPs? LSP is so smart. You can say, hey, I can rename stuff. I can do this as well with quick fix list. I can actually say, let's find, there is a function called add block, and we want to rename it. We can do this. Search for grep, search with grep for add block. So we have all the add blocks used in the repository, because we start search in the file, not in the netrw. We look in the whole repo with some limitations, like we don't go to .git, we don't go to venv and this kind of stuff. Now if you want to rename this function, what we can do, we can say, hey, there's a command called cdo. So cdo will execute the command you provide for every item of the quick fix list. And we can say, hey, okay, take the string, find the add block, %s, it should be %s, maybe just s, add block, and replace it with add item, let's say. And let's do gc. C will ask for confirmation. We can do it automatically, but I want to have a control over this. So we go and we see, okay, do we want to replace this? Yes. Do we want to replace this? Yes. Do we want to replace this? Yes. Yes. No. Say we do no. And we can see, so that we replace this add item with, we replace, let's finish this. You see, instead of add block, we rename this, and we had control with this, and this didn't take long, at least for me. I think it's great, and this is how I basically rename functions, so doing some operations across the whole code base, and this is another very useful feature of the quick fix list, which I love. So what else? So we have been using this grep. This basically searches in the whole code base, and this does the same for files. For example, let's do something. Let's go to the Megatron repo again, and let's find everything. I don't know, with ADAM in it. So we can look for. Okay, let's say want to see the ADAM apps. ADAM epsilon. We find basically this is how it's used. All right. I think we're almost done. There is a bunch of commands. Oh yeah, I'm not using LSPs, partially because I don't like. First, LSP is often a bit sluggish, especially I don't know when I use it with Rust. It's very slow. I'm not coding in C++. In C++, it's even, I don't know, worse. But sometimes I still want to use the linters. I want to do type checking. I want to, I don't know, format my code. And I also have commands for this, let's say in Python. It's, for example, to call black, we can do something like, so where is it? Space VB. This is probably because we are not in the we have black. Yeah, we do have black. Okay. This is weird. This is because nvim started probably. Let's. Yeah, we didn't save all the changes. Okay, now if you start Vim and we do block. Okay, so now if I have the, if I call it something, say something like this. No, let's change it here. Let's say, let's add some lines here. Save it, and space BB. You get a nice, clean, reformatted thing. I don't have to do anything else. I think some of the LSPs have the automatic on save, and I hated that because sometimes, I don't know, you write something like this, I don't know, some function name, and you do something like this, because I want to have space here to add some arguments, and I want something like blah blah blah, I want something like this. But when I save, sometimes I occasionally save this, and the linting brings this bracket here, and I have to go back, undo this, and I just hated this. That's why I have, like, I want to have an explicit control on when linting is happening. Same with LSPs or linters. I don't want to have 25 errors on the code. I don't want the linter tell me that, hey, your variable name doesn't exist, because I haven't finished writing it. I just saved the file and I got this, I don't know, 25 different error messages in my face. I don't like that. Yeah, then I have the same for rough. For example, if we have something like this, we also want to do something like, I don't know, and we press BR. Oops. And again, this is super fix. We got the results of the rough commands here. And I think if I clean up these things, if I remove those from the output, if I only use this, oops, probably we can also have this as a quick fix list. I'm not sure if I press space X, this actually works. Nice. Yeah, so I think I need to add probably some flag to the rough output so that I can use this as a quick fix list and quickly navigate over those. Very nice. Yeah, that's all. There's 96 lines. It's actually a bit more because I just hated the 25 ends in Lua, because you need to add them after each, I don't know, if block, and after end of each functions, and that's I don't know, I put them as one-liners, and I think this is much cleaner and more readable. Yeah, it's harder to edit, but when I edit, I just expand the function, write it down, then compress it into a single line again. Alright, I think that's it. Hope it was helpful. Just feel free to ask me any questions in the comments, or send me, I don't know, an email or tweet. And see you in the next one.